Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Will. This is Phantom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, man. Comic books, wrestling, movies, TV shows primarily, and anything in between. We get into it around here, and we are continuing the X-Men review series. This is getting towards the end here. We're at the last few stops before we get to Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend. It's going down. It's going to be dope. We cannot wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a spoiler-free review for that film this weekend, and then we're going to have a spoiler discussion dropping the following Monday or Tuesday. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. But today, we're going to be getting into not one of the most anticipated sequels at the time. It actually had one of the most disappointing original films in the entire X-Men franchise, which is known as X-Men Origins Wolverine. But this is the sequel from 2013.
What kind of monster are you? The Wolverine.
Based off the Frank Miller 4-issue miniseries from, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. You know, the classic cover of Wolverine and everything like that. And let me tell you what, this is a highly underrated entry in the X-Men franchise. And at the time, I didn't even go to see it in the theater. I actually skipped it and waited until it came on cable on TV. Cable, get it? But yeah, when it was on like HBO or something like that, I finally sat down and watched it around like late 2013, sometime maybe 2014. So about 10 years ago, I had watched this film for the first time, and I enjoyed it quite a bit at the time, but I really didn't like the third act whatsoever. And I kind of sort of feel the same way, but watching it this time around for the first time in about 6 or 7 years, I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed most of this movie. It's really fucking good, especially the first two acts, because the movie picks up with Wolverine kind of being kind of back to how we seen him in the original X-Men film, where he's kind of wandering around looking like a caveman almost, with his long ass beard, long hair, not the classic Wolverine look, and he's just kind of a transient or something like that, like a homeless person essentially. Not a trans person. Calm down. I was trying to say transient. You know what I mean? Ain't trying to get anybody all upset or anything like that. We're accepting of all peeps, but some of y'all get all crazy politically out there, so we don't engage in that here. But with Wolverine being essentially like Michael Myers in Halloween 2, he's wandering around. He runs into Kimiko, and she tells him that her her adopted father, essentially a man that he once saved during the bombing in Nagasaki, I think it was. Way back in the day, he saved this guy in the war that was about to Sympacto himself because he didn't want to die from the nuke that was going down. Wolverine was like a prisoner of war at this time. He hopped out of almost well, or like this hole that they threw him into, and he helped this guy out and helped him survive by putting this like metal door, or like this piece of this like metal over him, and using his healing factor to shield the blast away from the giant piece of metal that he was using to protect the guy. And now, all these years later, and in the continuity of this film, I think we're going to be sometime after The Last Stand, due to the fact that Jean Grey's dead. He's mourning the loss. He's the one that killed her, as he alludes to, or as he tells Kimiko later, or whatever her name is, later in the film, the granddaughter of the guy that he saved way back in the day, and all that stuff. And then that sets him up to go to Japan. And then that's when all the cool shit goes down. And it's just like action sequence after action sequence. You get some good character beats, between Wolverine and the girl that he's trying to protect from the Yakuza and whatnot, because there's a hit on her head. So you got all these crazy, like the action sequence on the train is pretty insane as well. They go to the funeral of the old dude that turns out to not actually be dead, and the Yakuza first strike him there, and they got these adamantium bullets that when they shoot him, he can't heal from them quite as fast or in general. So now he's in trouble because the stakes are higher than ever, because now he actually can be battle damaged and has to watch how many times he's getting shot and whatnot, when usually he can just heal, bullets come popping off his face, popping out of his chest, whatever, and he goes to fighting once again, going berserker mode. But in this one, the stakes are high, man. He actually is not invincible in this film, and that's one of the main positives I have for it, is that James Mangold, who took over directing duties of this when it was supposed to be all these different filmmakers, that they had selected for the film at first. He's the one that ended up getting the job, and he did a lot of cool movies back in the day, like Copland. I think he did the 310 to Yuma remake a few years before this film. So he also did Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash. So he had some good films under his belt for sure, and had some good credibility to his name. But this is where he started that meteoric rise that he was on in the mid and late 2010s, throughout doing this, and then Logan, and what was it, Ford v Ferrari, and all these different films like that. And he got the job for this one, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park because he was able to really hone in on what makes Wolverine Wolverine, the themes of the character, and what really drives him, and what always makes him like he's not the guy until he's the guy. And that's a little sly Deadpool and Wolverine reference for y'all if you get it, and if you don't watch that trailer. But but when it comes to the Wolverine, James Mangold has such a great handle on the character, and infusing it with like a little bit of the Western vibes, but mostly with the whole kind of like the whole just like Japanese culture, and the whole backdrop of Japan and everything like that felt pretty authentic to the fighting style, and different locations and everything like that. And it seems like they shot on location for most of this film, so it felt very lived in, very real. So I really dug that vibe. And you could just tell James Mangold had a really good, firm handle on the character, and was able to direct Hugh Jackman in such a powerful way. And had in this film, I would say, is one of his best performances as Logan, aka Wolverine. So absolutely love James Mangold's direction. Absolutely love Hugh Jackman's performance. He never phones it in as Wolverine in any film, no matter how great, good, or bad they are. He's always nailing it 110%, and in this one is no different. And he has to play through a lot of different emotions, and really having to show pain, and really having to show guilt, and having to show grief, through the death of Jean and the visions he's having of seeing her and whatnot, and just struggling to move on and wanting to seek death in order to kind of escape from this permanent this like almost like vampire-esque like immortality that he can't escape, you know what I'm saying? And just wanting to be with the woman that he loves, even though she really didn't love him that much back, by the way, just saying. But that's all such really compelling just character development that there is for Logan, aka Wolverine, throughout this whole damn movie, and it's freaking awesome. And you got the great Hideyoki Sanada popping up in here, who I thought was going to turn out to be Silver Samurai, but unfortunately he wasn't. But he was still really awesome in the film. Had some great moments, both acting and action wise. You got to get a sword in Hideyoki Sanada's hand when you got something with a sword. He was just in Shogun, killing it. I got to finish that series still, but man, really dug Hideyoki Sanada here. I thought he just played the character so good, so menacing, intimidating, not too over the top, not too stereotypical either. I thought he did such a great job with that character. I don't necessarily know if he's a major character. I think the dude that was actually like almost reminded me of like a Ronin type character in a sense. But the dude with the bow and arrows and everything, what's her name's boyfriend from back in the day, he's actually the character that is the alter ego of Silver Samurai, but they ended up giving that role over to the old man. And I didn't necessarily love how it was like a big over CGI, like super shredder type suit. Didn't dig that whatsoever. I really felt like they should have made Hideyoki Sanada the Silver Samurai and had him with a regular, just kind of somewhat more kind of badass version of the Silver Samurai suit, and just a more traditional suit, but just with some cool tech or just something really cool going on there. Him having a sword fight with Wolverine's claws, and them going back and forth with the sword that Wolverine does end up getting gifted to him from the old man way back in the day, and everything like that. And I thought that would be such a cool way to kind of end the film, but instead we get this weird, like, Hydra serpent lady that could, like, burn you with her venom or whatever the fuck it is, and disintegrate you alive, and ripping her skin off and all this weird gnarly shit. But I didn't really dig the villain. I thought the whole twist of the old man being the villain the whole time, while I understood what they were going for, while it all made logistical sense and within the story and whatnot, didn't really love that reveal, and thought that kind of dragged the film a bit down in that third act. And that's really where the film kind of loses all of its steam, because after he gets shot with all the arrows and fights all those ninjas and with the crossbows and the fucking and the bow and arrows and the swords and everything like that, when he's going through that sequence, going through the village leading up to that tower that they're luring him into for the trap, felt like such like just like martial arts, like Hong Kong cinema or something like that. It was so cool, and I really dug that whole sequence. But once you get past that point in the film, it really loses a lot of steam. It doesn't have that same oomph onto it until you get to the very end of the film, where he's kind of teasing going back to New York and going back to the X-Men and whatnot, but doesn't explicitly say, because at the time they were in the middle of doing the sequel to First Class. The franchise was sort of rebooted and back on the right track, so they weren't quite sure where they were going to work in Wolverine quite yet, I think, but they were kind of setting up things for Days of Future Past, with them having a common enemy with Professor X and Magneto coming to see him at the end of the film in the post-credit or mid-credit scene. So all that stuff was really cool to see, the way that they were kind of tying these things together, whether they knew they were doing Days of Future Past or not quite yet at the time when they did this in 2013 or shot this in 2012, whatever. It's really, really cool to see the way they were weaving these things together for Days of Future Past, even if it's just retroactively just because I know it and I've seen the film. Either way, I thought that really worked for me. And I just really dig this movie and think it's highly underrated. Like I said, it's not perfect. It definitely really starts to struggle in that third act. But the first two acts to me are action-packed, really awesome. I love the whole sequence of Hideyoki Sanada when, Wolverine revives himself by getting that parasite out of his heart. Like, it's just such great sequences back to back to back in that first, hour and a half, the first real, fat chunk of the movie. It's so well done. I really think y'all should go watch it. If you haven't really given this a chance or haven't seen it in a while, I think it just may surprise you. And that's going to do it for me here on the Wolverine from 2013. 1-3, y'all let know. But yeah, man, so we're going to continue this X-Men review series with the original Deadpool coming up next, and then we're going to be bouncing back and forth between Logan and Wade Wilson, if you will. So it's going to be the Wolverine, Deadpool 1, Logan, and then Deadpool 2. And then we're going to have Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend, so make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep, click the playlist right there for all the other X-Men review movies we've done so far. We've gotten through most of the franchise. We're on the last few right now, so make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep. Thanks for watching the entire video, and until next time, I'm going to catch you again real soon, y'all. Peace.